Vertical shorts. What are they and why is it all the rave in Tinseltown amongst actors? We're going to answer that and much more with our special guest as we go beyond the take. What is up, everyone? It is me, actor, producer, and host of Beyond the Take podcast, Marc Chouen. Welcome for episode two. I am joined by my friend, an esteemed colleague, and the co-host, Michael J. Puddy. What is up, my man?
The number on my thermostat. Oh my God, this heat wave's killing me. Oh, I'm dying. I'm melting. I'm a winter baby.
Right? Jesus Christ.
Oh,
And you're wearing black.
yeah. Hopefully they'll hide the sweat stains.
Good point. Good
Like
point.
chestnut checkers.
Yeah, I was just going to wear the t-shirt. Then right before it came on, my daughter had she had macaroni and cheese, and she got some right in my shirt right up here. I was like, yeah, let me be a little presentable. Let me put on a shirt real fast. Um, but yeah, no, we are in episode two, buddy, and I noticed, I was talking to B Todd, our last guest, afterwards, and he was saying to me, because I asked for notes, he really liked the episode, and he said, "Yeah, let Michael J. Puddy talk.
Nice.
Hashtag free Puddy."
Oh, appreciate that. Thank you. You should have him back on. My favorite guest of all time.
We only had one so far, buddy. So, so yes, I need to do a better job of letting you talk.
That's fine. Like I
So
said,
my apologies.
I tried to jump in a couple times, but you guys are on a roll. I didn't want to disturb nothing. I'm just here if I don't get fined.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, no, our guest today is someone that actually I befriended on social media, through Instagram. I think it was during the pandemic, actually. And it's funny enough, we didn't get to talk about this last time with B Todd because my headphones cut out. My fully charged today, by the way. So B Todd is another one I met via social media through Threads. We would end up commenting on each other's stuff. Next thing you know, he DMs me, finds out I was involved in professional wrestling. So we formed a friendship off that. We zoomed. We did a Zoom hangout. We've been texting, and then next thing you know, he's a guest on the podcast. We become actually good friends through Threads. And Sarah is another one. She's in LA permanently now, but at that point, I think she was going back and forth between LA and New York and Miami a little bit. And world traveler pretty much is killing it in the vertical short game. And we met a few times. We were working. We tried to get to something together as far as working together. Um, but yeah, awesome person. I am so glad to be that she's going to be on the show as a second guest here. Putty, you asked me a question beforehand. Look, I want you to ask on the podcast. Lay it on me, man.
What is a vertical short?
Great question.
I'm
Great
thinking that.
question.
I'm thinking basketball. I'm thinking golf. How does that pertain to film?
So vertical shorts, it's a new thing that's going on in the industry. There seems to be a lot of confusion about it right now, amongst professionals, even amongst myself at one point. And we're going to get into it right now as we are joined by the wonderful Sara Quiriconi. How are you doing, my wonderful friend?
It's amazing to be here. I've had a brilliant day, combination of auditions and some writing and some agent reach outs. So this is a great way to cap the day is conversation.
Yes, the second guest of this podcast that I just started here. What am I doing? I have no idea, but we're figuring it out. That's the beauty of it. Sarah, you know stranger to podcast yourself. You know how it works.
I do, and it's how the script unfolds. It's each episode one by one.
Hey, before we get into it, any advice for us, be like, when you first started your podcast, anything you look back on and be like, oh man, I could have done that differently.
Definitely the quality is key. Just like for your auditions for acting, if you can hear it really well, there were some things I look back and I thought, and I overthought so much because I tried to do the video, the audio, and then the promotion, and I got lost in the core concept of what it was that I really wanted to create. And it was to create an impact through the stories that I was sharing about never settling in different areas. But then I tried to, I don't know, to shorten the answer. I tried to niche it down too much. I'm like, is it in wellness? Is it in founders? Is it in, and then switched like a fish until I just want to tell stories that inspire people.
It
Overcomplicate.
was really interesting. I noticed during the pandemic, but it was all about niche, 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 niche. You just get niche down, just niche down as like to a single 1% as possible. And I think we've just gotten away from that. Am I wrong?
I think I agree with you. And I say that coming from the era, I just wrote a newsletter on this, the multi-hyphenate. And so it works in one direction. It can also, like an Achilles heel for me. And I will add to this, it was brought to me so eloquently the other day. I'm not a star, I'm a constellation. I was like, "Ooh,
Ooh, whoa. Okay,
thank
let's go.
you."
We're starting deep here. Let's go.
I know. And this came to me, and I thought, wow, this is brilliant. Thank goodness I don't have to. Okay, so I'm an actor, and then I'm a writer, and I'm a producer, and I want to speak, and I'm going to write a book, and I'm also an investor, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I do that. Whoa, whoa. We go back to the niche idea, but then if you told me every single day you cannot do anything aside from something that is acting, and be like, but there's so many things that make me an actor that I do that are not acting. So how does that really, that
Right.
allows me the creative freedom to go and write a book, to write a script, a short story, to have these conversations around our thoughts in the industry, and then to do marketing and finance for an upcoming property. Like that allows me to be, I mean, they go play an instrument. Like that allows me to do all the different things that say, okay, this makes me a better human and a way better actor because I have more things to
Oh,
work
totally.
with. So it becomes this constellation of these different stars. Yes, the North Star is acting, but I can also
Hmm.
be a filmmaker, and I can also be an entrepreneur and a speaker. And that's, if you look at what a lot of the highly achieved, well paid actors in the industry, they are entrepreneurs. Maybe
Oh,
they
yeah.
chose tequila, and I wouldn't choose tequila personally. It's a little overdone at this point. But I find that it is a multi hyphenate that knows how to create a brand and expand it that will create the greatest impact. So there's profitability. There is also, the wealth factor and the fame and success. To me, it's the legacy and the impact that I can create from that. That's the most important. So I think, what can I do on a day-to-day basis that will create a greater impact and legacy? And that will keep me grounded at the same time. That's a question I've been asking myself more and more. What can help me ground to myself right now in this moment so that I don't go all up in the air here?
What answer has been given to you so far? Like what's an answer when you ask yourself that question, like
It's
what pops to mind?
a fairly new strategy and tool. So this morning, this morning there was an open casting for something, and it wasn't from Los Angeles. So my agent didn't send it to me. I think it was in Atlanta or New York or something. And it had a one-page script in there for a pre-screening. And usually I'll pass on those things. I'd be like, if you like me, you'll see the headshot, you'll see the reel, we'll take it from there. But I said, you know what, Sarah, you need to get your butt in front of the camera right now. That is going to, I did my vocal warm-ups, and I said, you want to ground and be connected to being an act, go act. Do a cold read, go act. And when I did that pre-screening. Again, it was maybe 4 lines, so it wasn't, I'm not learning 2 pages of dialogue and racking my brain for nothing, but that helped me remember the play because I didn't overthink it. Do you know, and Mark, you
Yes, I
can
was just
probably
talking
also
to an actor
relate.
about it last night. I was just talking about this. Yeah. Yeah.
And we overthink, and you can probably relate to this, is what I was going to say. You get the script, and then this is a great opportunity. I got to do this. And you do it over and again and again and again and again to the point of where, okay, I got the lines down. And then you get in front of the camera, and what's my emotional object? What's the inner monologue? I got the words. Got the
Right.
words,
Right. It's
which is
such a
where when
trap
we
that
did,
us actors fall into right away. We get the script, we memorize real fast. Like, I just want to do it. I just want to do it. Let's go. But
and
yeah, no, yeah.
even if you get the emotions and the workings and the character first, and then you go to the script, I find sometimes when I've beaten it so much at that point, I then lose the spontaneity that me, little Sarah, when I was young playing, would just be like, and here we go. And I wouldn't overthink it too much.
But we also like, I feel like we don't read the script enough. Robert Duvall was I forgot what actor was asking Robert Duvall advice. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the advice came from Robert Duvall. They asked him like, what's your tip on like, creating a successful career in acting? He goes, listen, there's not much to it. He goes, you just read a script like 250 times, right? And there's something to be said about that because I was working with an actor friend of mine, and this way it came up. It's funny that you're talking about this. We were working on a scene together. He had a major audition for on Zoom with a casting director who wanted to work with it with me. And I was honored. He asked me, "This dude, he's an incredible actor. He's doing some amazing things right now. I'm really pumped for him." But nonetheless, we were going through the scene, and it was like so easy to play it one way. And then we finally looked at it and just like, hey, it's not really like that. It's not
Mm.
really meant to be angry. We were really going through the character and the relationships with it, blah blah blah, what's going on, and the motive was just like, oh shit, I was reading it the wrong way. That's what he was
Mm.
saying. And it just and that's how it came up at the Robert Duvall thing. If you read a script like a few times before you start, memorizing, really going into it, you'll pick up on some things, especially for auditioning, because like, how many, especially nowadays, like, how many auditions are casting directors seeing? A lot more than ever. And, how do you stand out? You stand out by really knowing that script, by being really familiar with it and like knowing the choices to be made there, really connecting with it. And like people say, like, how do you stand out? People think they have to do something wacky and zany. No, that's not really the case. Like, yeah, you have to go with what's given and really connect with it instead of just like looking at it real fast. I have the lines. I get the basics here. All right, let's just fucking go. Let's go. No.
Yeah, you said an interesting word is about choices.
Hmm.
So part of it is knowing the script, part of it's knowing yourself as well. I wanted to add to that because when you know yourself, you know what you personally can add to it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
something I work with my acting coach a lot. So when I do have some of those big auditions and I work with her on this scene, she's like, every other character every other auditioner is going to play like that.
Hmm.
How are you going to play it to the power move? She's like, you're a powerful person. Where's the power in this? And I work with Claire Chubbuck, and she's the daughter of Ivana Chubbuck, and the whole concept is around the power of the actor. So it's you're bringing to each audition and role the power move, as opposed to nobody wants to watch the victim. It's very goring. Nobody wants to watch an entire film going, "Oh, the poor thing. I feel so bad for her." It's like, no, you want the redemption story. So are you bringing that within the character and taking it all up and down? We've gone on a full tangent in this, but it's quite beautiful to also put a light on it as well.
No, absolutely. And like, you said like a key component there. It's like bring yourself into the character. I feel like even with the biopics, like, yes, you may be playing a real life person, right? But there's still a sense of you in there, you know? Um, you see all the time. Like you see it with Timothy Chalamet's performance of Bob Dylan, Jamie Foxx when he played Ray Charles. There's still an element of them in there. Yes,
Hmm.
transformed themselves quite a bit. I can't speak today, um, but like it's those things, man. Like you definitely playing different characters. You definitely find like, all right, what do I have in common with them, even though I'm so opposite of this character.
Hmm.
Like how do I bring myself into it? We could talk all day about the process.
I know.
Michael, I fell victim last podcast of like excluding Michael J. Puddy here. My man, I gotta bring you in earlier. Puddy, you
No,
you asked me.
I'm just sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying this conversation. This is amazing.
You asked me a key question before and during the podcast, and honestly, I feel like Sarah is the best person to answer this because she's been so involved in it. Putty, please go ahead.
Mentioned vertical shorts. Like to me, with those two words to me is very sports. How does that equate to what you're doing in the world of Hollywood and film?
I want to hear it because I'm very athletically inclined. Where in sports?
Golf, your short game, your vertical putt, your vertical hit. How high can you get it, and how short can you get it to the hole on the green?
Okay.
Basketball, how
Wow.
close do you get to the hoops? It's your vertical short game. Good.
See, basketball, I went to right away
That
when
one
you
I
said about
get.
sports.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Not sport,
golf.
not golf.
Oh, I just
First off,
discovered golf. I'm in love with golf right now.
okay, we need to have a separate conversation
Okay.
about that because I had no idea you're into golf.
Oh, big time. All of a sudden, got a couple months.
But yeah, no, I mean again, Sarah, you're well immersed in it. I have my own story about vertical shorts. I would love to hear your take on it.
It's interesting because there's a hesitation. You talk to anybody about vertical shorts and you're like, but majority will do them.
Yep, yep,
And
yep.
it comes down to what they are. It's a vertical format of mostly a series that if you put it together in its right mind, it's a feature film. It is broken down into little bite-sized bits to be, imagine if Instagram took a bunch of reels, sequentialized them by scenes, and put them together and just doused it with feudal drama. Like almost laughable at some points. That's a vertical short in a nutshell. It is mainly non-union work, mainly because there are some SAG productions. Some can pay decent, very well. I've been on some vertical short sets where I have been very impressed with the production quality and the skill set of some of the team, especially when it comes to uh, lighting, um, grip gaffer, sound. Some of the directors I've worked with, some of the ADs, and you hear their stories. They worked on other sets, some big sets.
Mm,
And
that's
even some of
interesting.
the, yeah, and I'll get into that. Even some of the actors that I've worked with, I would want to work with some of the other actors again. And I say that from a place of because there's a lot of great talent to be found that is also not given a lot of work to the point that there are some ADs and IATSE crew who are on a lot of these sets because there's not a lot of work going on and people need to pay their shit.
Yep.
So they're going to take some of these jobs because they need to pay their bills. And it's not that everyone is waking up saying, I can't wait to do a vertical short because it is the next succession.
Mm-mm.
That being said, there's a lot to, it's like a base camp. It's like a foundation for learning. And you can meet, if you approach it from a business perspective, there's a lot of value to learn. I take some behind the scenes work that I can then feature showcase. I get to act.
Yep.
There are some people that I'm working with that who knows they might be on the next feature film and we work together again, or they have me in mind, or they think of, or something, or I make an acting friend, or it's a networking opportunity.
Hmm.
And I get to practice my craft. I have certain, and I'm going to break after this because I want this to be a conversation, not just a soliloquy of Sarah on vertical shorts,
You're the
not golf
guest.
version.
You're the guest.
I get tired of my own voice too, though. I would say there's a lot to take away from it, though. And if it's approached from that perspective and mindset, it can be a great learning curve. Now, would I bet my career on it? Am I very careful with what I sign into reading these contracts or now having my agent read these contracts? Yes. Because the last thing I want is 10 years from now, I'm on a hit show and they drudge up this old vertical short that I did that is in perpetuity in China or Russia or wherever. And my face is now slashed across everywhere. I don't know. Some of these things script like you are topless. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not going to top. No, no, not for a vertical shit. Like, no way. So I have certain limitations. You don't want your face where you're stabbed in the neck or something. And I don't know. I have parameters that I will set for being a part of these.
Well, good for you. Um, yeah, I have so many questions based on what you just said. I'm sure Putty does as well. Something you just said there. Like a lot. If you're looking at the news right now in the trades, there's a big play. There's a big push for international markets right now, right?
Mm.
Especially with films. A lot of indie films being picked up. And would it make sense the fact that so vertical shorts? I'm sure Putty had this question in mind because he doesn't know what it is, and a lot of people in the United States, regular everyday consumers in the United States, don't know what it is. They've never heard of it. Only us actors here or anyone in the industry has heard of this because it's being played primarily overseas. Vertical
Hmm.
shorts. Being that you're getting millions and millions of views on this thing, would it help your chances of being more of like an international sensation, being an international name to get you on board to some of these indie films? Because a lot of when it comes down to indie filmmaking, they're looking at that, like who's drawing, overseas specifically, that I can get on the cheap to for distribution as opposed to like a star name.
What's fun? This is like my global entry tip. They come on, you're on an airline and they'll say, and if you'd like to apply for global entry, I'm like, shh, don't tell people about this. So the interesting thing, the way they play the numbers, it's a numbers game. They have millions of views as an aggregate because they're broken down over so many different clips. They will take the number of views on each one of those clips, group them together, and then you have your 7.6 million views. You are not doing that with movies broken down scene by scene.
Hmm.
They're doing that in vertical shorts. So it's a numbers game. And you damn well better bet everybody is playing that too. They
But you can
will
skew the
lean.
numbers any way you want it to be, though. Like you can say, I had
Hey,
7 million views on a thing, and like that's all they care about. 7 million people saw you. Sorry to cut you off.
absolutely. And no, it's so true. And I've done that in pitches. I'll
Yeah,
like,
everyone does it.
if you're seeing this as a business, you're going to do it. I feel, as far as the international reach goes, you can. I had 2 days ago, somebody from Turkey reached out to me and said, we'd love to put you in our database to be a part of our upcoming vertical shorts. And I said, well, everything will go through my agent, and well, you can text us via WhatsApp. I don't want to give you my personal number, first of all. You are going to contact me directly. And if this doesn't work for you, then clearly you're putting something in the contract that is a little iffy anyway if you
Hmm.
can't email me.
Hmm.
It could be a good way to gain numbers and notoriety. I would advise I would advise that back to what I said, the last piece is just be very, very selective in particular over what you're saying yes to.
Mm.
And also knowing if I'm doing this production and I'm going to be flying international, and I used to do this for content creation as well. If I was going to, I got invited to press trips to Fiji, this private island in Indonesia, to Turkey as well. If I was getting invited to these places, I asked specific questions to make sure everything was legitimate. And if I didn't get those answers, I let that drop very quickly because there can be a lot of scams. And that's where I say
Oh,
it's just
so many
having,
scams.
yeah, and I like yourself, Mark, we've been around the block enough and around the sun enough to know when something probably smells a little too good to be true or fishy. But for somebody who is wide-eyed and yes, this is my big break, and it's just tranquilo, go a little slower, dot your I's, cross your T's, and just make sure it's
Sometimes if
not
it's a
just.
little too good to be true, it can be.
It
You know,
can be. And sometimes it can
yeah.
be a great opportunity too. So it's also not to pass on something just because, well. It's like the person who says good things don't happen to me. Well, it's like if you believe that, then of course nothing good's going to happen to you.
Right,
So I don't
right.
know. I don't know if that directly answers your question. If I think it can be, if you can go the international hit route, I think yes. I do feel that, and maybe this is an open because I really want to hear your take on this. I
Yeah.
foresee these will pick up. There will be better content that comes, and it's going to turn eyes of said Netflix, of said Hulu. Because while I'm still watching Netflix on the TV, the next generation will be watching, now I sound
But
old. Crap.
but the studios did this already. The studios did this already,
When?
right? With Quibi. Quibi was a
Oh,
thing.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. For
And it
like
was
what, 3 months?
before the pandemic, right? You had I think Kevin Hart, if, correct me if I'm wrong. Like he
That's
had a
right.
TV show that what was they were like 10 minutes, right? Not even
Yes.
each episode. And then the pandemic happened and then Quibi quickly died.
Yes. Yeah,
And
that had
then
like a
all
4 month lifespan. That's right.
yeah. And like people were talking about this. Oh, what's going on? What's Quibi? What's Quibi? Like, oh, Kevin Hart's doing this. Oh, another celebrity's doing this. There are a few celebrities that were doing it. And
Hmm.
I guess because the pandemic happened and like, movies were going straight to streaming at that point.
Yeah.
So people were like more geared towards that. And then the rise of TikTok happened where it's like, okay, well, I can make my own content and get millions of followers and get paid for it. Okay. So I think maybe I don't necessarily know for sure, but I think a couple of those things were factors in why Quibi died so fast because yeah, like you said, it was only like about 4 months, not even a whole year.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see like Vertical Shorts playing a game of this overseas because the studios did this already. And I guarantee, I think you're right. I think they're going to see these numbers and like, huh, how do we get into this? Because the studios are doing anything and everything. And I'd be so curious to know the demographics of like, who's watching the Vertical Shorts, like, what age group, men versus women, like who's watching this here. And I'm sure, I don't, do you have those numbers? Do you know that at all?
I don't know how specific they are, nor how accurate in this exact moment. The last that I did research, because I went into developing and potentially pitching one of these, so I started doing some deep dives. Majority will skew female.
Hmm.
It will be in
Because they're mostly
the,
kind of like soapish, right?
oh, yes, I call
Yeah.
them the vertical telenovelas, which are like soap operas in
Yeah.
Espanol. But it's some of it's over the top. And that's where I would love to see some of it get more legitimized with the writing, with the development, with the character. Because each time I would get a script, an audition, I'd land a role, and I'd read the script, and I'm like, I can play the bitch again. I can hit somebody. I can push them in a pool. I can break a glass.
Yeah, let's
I can be
go.
the damsel. Am I pregnant in this one? Like, there's all these elements that are, who's the billionaire? Oh, I'm the billionaire in this one. Okay. Somebody's a billionaire. Somebody gets pregnant. Somebody probably gets pushed in a pool.
Someone's
And there's
definitely getting
definitely a
slapped.
bitch. There's definitely a bitch slap in there. So it's now, what is the next level? Because some of the content quality is really good.
I've seen some of the stuff that you posted. Yeah,
Yeah,
the content looks like, and I will admit, so I did do one, right? I know, I'm not supposed to. So here's what happened. I know it's a bold thing for me to say because I am SAG after.
I know.
I'll tell you flat out what happened. So there's been some confusion, I think. There's been someone out there, I'm not going to name names, but there's someone that is well known on Instagram, calls herself a coach. And a friend of mine works with them, and I was invited on, like, to like a session. I had nothing going on. Like, sure, I'll hear people out. And she said something interesting. It was during the time where like it's been slow. It still is slow.
Mhm.
And she was talking about vertical shorts, right? And I was just like, well, aren't isn't that non-union? She's like, it's actually technically not union affiliated, blah, blah, blah. There's nowhere in the SAG contract where it says anything about blah, blah, blah. I was like,
True.
huh, interesting. I was like, oh, maybe I've been wrong about that. Huh. I mean, it is kind of new. That makes sense. SAG is always behind on shit. Um, so I gave one a go, right? I was on set for one. I booked one. You're right. There is some talent there. There's this one
Yeah.
kid. I call him a kid. He was probably his 20s. Um,
See,
he's
now
re
you sound old. We sound old. Thank you.
I know, I know, I
Thank you.
know.
I walk on set and they're like, oh my gosh, I just moved out of my parents' home and it's been fascinating. I'm like, oh my God, Sarah, just go in a corner. Just go in a corner.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. They won't even know
Like,
that
just
song.
Nope.
go and fill out the forms. You're like, don't look at the date that I was born. I eat blueberries every day and I look young AF. There you go.
The giveaway is if you write cursive, if you sign your script. They can't do that.
Oh, thank God. No, yeah. That was, yeah. I have like a doctor's signature that just looks like a big mess.
Yeah, same. But anyway, there is some talent to be found on there. But I as soon as I was on there, I was like, no, this is definitely non-union. This is totally non-union. Like you could like I don't know, Sarah, you've been on SAG sets before, have you?
Yes.
You
Yes.
could tell right away the difference. You could tell right away the difference.
Yes.
Like even on an indie SAG film, like it's I mean, yeah, it's nowhere near as a big SAG production, but there is a difference of professionalism and whatnot that to be had on there. And right away, I was like, "Oh, you fucked up, Mark. You fucked up." Oh, what name you want me as? Yeah, I'll definitely not my real name. Um, and like, never again. I learned once, like I fucked up
Mm.
here. Like this is not what I thought it was. I was given the wrong information here, and lo and behold, too, like they took over a month to pay me. After like a couple weeks of reaching out, where's the pay? Where's the pay? Where's the pay? Oh yeah, yeah, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. I would never have to deal with this. I didn't even want to tell my
Mm.
manager about it to get him involved because I was like so
Sure.
embarrassed. Yeah, because I was like,
Sure.
dude, you fucked up. You did a non-union thing, blah blah blah. So SAG, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. I fucked up. Slap on the wrist. I learned a lesson. Never again. Um,
It was a
but like,
testimonial,
it's a
if
testimonial.
anything.
But
Yeah.
like, no, like it is different. And but I understand it's shot cheap. It's non-union. From my understanding, there's a couple billionaires that own this stuff that are putting a lot of money into this. It's doing well overseas. And going back to what you were saying, I think with the studios, like what the future holds with this, the studios are freaking out right now. They're looking at
Mhm.
anything and everything to save their butts because Gen Z, they're not watching. They're just flat out not watching, right? So like they're in order to survive for future because every company is thinking about survival, right? They're not looking at the now, they're looking ahead, right?
They
And
have to. Yeah.
they have to. If the generation like the upcoming generation's not interested in your product, you're not going to survive. Plain
Yeah.
and simple. So they're freaking out. And so I'm sure if the numbers are suggesting that people are into this from the younger group, then they're going to get into it as well. Quibi is back. Quibi 2.
Right. But it'll be a section because I think I remember reading maybe a month ago, Netflix was going to start changing their home appearance, the front facing view.
No. They have the
Didn't they?
best
They did
one.
on my they did on my end. I mean, thank goodness though, because honestly, I go on there and my husband will sit down and we go to watch something. I'm like, I don't know. Do you know something else that came out? I don't know. You something? It's like, well, you're the actress. I'm like, I don't know everything. He's like, I'll bring back TV Guide. And then I go, okay, let's just scroll. 22 minutes later, we're still scrolling, watching trailers. I love
Yeah.
trailers, thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah.
22 minutes later, though, we've watched nothing. We end up watching a rerun of Peaky Blinders. So someone help me, please, with this algorithm and the user interface. There's a phrase I was looking for. How we can better see something. Now, I heard they were going to be doing a vertical stream of trailers so that you can view. They changed
Interesting.
the interface, yes, because of all of this vertical short, not golf, not basketball, but vertical short game that's going on, how that was going to start to evolve. That would be a middle ground. That would be an introduction to an audience because
Okay.
they're also thinking long game. I don't know. I'm putting that on the table.
That'll be interesting to see. I don't think you're wrong. Like, I think if it's working, if the numbers match up, like they're going to try it. They're going to try it.
Yeah.
Putty, I'm sure you have some other questions, man. I don't want to monopolize all this. Go for it, man.
You mentioned the pandemic before. I think that's what you said, the rise of TikTok, the rise of these reels. And I've seen some actors talk about their content creation, and now it's my turn to sound like the old person here. Kids these days, their attention span is hard to grasp, especially with Instagram, you just constant scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. So these short films or what do you call vertical shorts you get. Is it in the back of your mind when you're creating these things to grasp the attention right away, or are you expecting them
Hmm.
to sit there and watch? "Oh, okay, I'll watch 10 minutes of this thing. Or you want to grow
They
the first 10 minutes, first 10 seconds, you got to grab them.
Good question.
it's a great point because they do structure their content like that. So if you, one, if you're pitching it,
Hmm.
and two, if you're watching it within the first, so if you go to pitch one of these, from my experience, you need to have the first 10 episodes. Mind you, there's about 50 of these episodes, 70 of these
Oh,
episodes. It's not like a TV series. You need to have the first 10 scripted if they're going to turn an eye at your script. When you go to, when they're done and final, before you hit a paywall, you'll usually get to watch the first 10. Why? To exactly your point. They want to hook you and catch you. So then you pay to play, for say, and you buy coins or you do a
yeah.
monthly plan. And so they hook you in that way.
That is really interesting. Have you
Yeah.
watched these? Do you like? Are you a fan? Is there any particular one that like? Oh man, I'm really into this one.
Yeah, the one that I did because I wanted to see what ending they went with.
Oh, really?
I was because we
It's
filmed two
okay to be a
different
fan of your own
endings.
work.
I was curious because I knew one take was better than the other. Mark, you
Oh
know
my
this.
God.
You do one and you're like, I know that was the winner of the take. And then I knew what scene it was. So I could have just flipped to the scene, but in order for me to get to that scene, I had to watch all the other ones. And that was the only that I watched. So yeah,
Hmm.
the only ones that I've watched are the ones that I'm in. It would be some of those scenes. The only one I've watched through the entirety is the one that I was the lead in, and I wanted to see which ending they went with.
Interesting.
But
Interesting.
it's because it's missing this for me. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And if you're just at home and you're listening, it's a grittiness, a depth. And if we can invoke that into some of the scripting and the acting, because actors, it's on us to bring that to the characters. I think that there's something more behind it. And then what is a vertical short today can become something of a lot more interest in the future. Maybe. Maybe it just dies in 2 years. I have no idea.
I was literally just about to ask, like, do you think it's here to stay, or do you think it's going to like fade out? Like, I mean, the current the industry's not really changing. Like, everyone was saying survive to 25. Well, we're in the middle of 2025, literally smack in the middle of it. And if anything, it's gotten worse.
I think
And
too, for those who say survive to 25, it's like, well, what are you doing about it? Are you just waiting? Because last time I checked, and
uh,
I'm not saying this
uh,
either. I'm not perfect and I'm learning and I need to get my ass out more just as much as the next person. But nobody's coming knocking at my door to say, hey, it's 2025. I'm ready for you. Come
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
So it's also what are you doing about it?
Right. Like, listen, we're in a day of an age where, like, it's about creating, right? Hey, right now,
Yeah.
creating something. Like, it's not necessarily a movie or film. Like, hey, it's a podcast, right? It's creating a platform for yourself. Because you said earlier, like, gone are the days, back in the 90s, you could just be an actor, right? And like maybe one day I'll be a movie star, or I'll wind up on a soap, or I'll wind up in a sitcom or commercial, what have you. Well, guess what? The 90s are gone. So now you have to be a hyphenate to survive in this. You have to have multiple skills. Look, I mean, Amy Poehler just launched a podcast herself, and she's killing it. You have people doing tequila companies, as you mentioned, gins, buying sports clubs.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Aniston has a Pilates studio.
Yeah.
Smartless is a great podcast, by the way.
Right. And you don't have to be a celebrity to do these things. You don't have to wait. Um,
Yeah.
Producing's a big thing now with actors. Writing, as B. Todd in our last episode was talking about. You have to wear many different hats. Now, the self-tape game is here. It's not going away. So you have to learn about lighting and camera and even editing. So many things that actors, we can't just look pretty anymore.
Yeah. But I'll add this as well because that can sound daunting and say, oh my God, I have so many things and I have to do all of that now and I have to do my own sound.
You
I need to
get
do
to.
my own editing. I will also say I would rather do that than sit 2 hours in a car to get to a casting room.
Oh, God. See, for you,
The
like, yes.
upside, yeah, oh yeah, you're in New York, I'm in Los Angeles. The upside is also, well, I will say though, being in a casting room, it's an exchange of energy and you can create a different
That's it.
relationship and you can receive direction because the casting director might say, to your point about what you see from the script, it might be, well, they're actually really angry this scene before. So can you show me that? And we're reading it. Oh my gosh, this was so fun and I'm so happy. And they're like, well, her mother just died. So you probably want to play this a little more sad. And you're like, well, I had no idea of knowing that. So there is the upside of being in a room. That being said, if it was going to be majority taped anyway, and there's not going to be that, I stand a better chance to film, bring something, do 3 takes. I can submit to something in New York, Miami, New Mexico, and two in Los Angeles in the same day. And I don't need to get on one plane. So I also see that upside. We can always
I
find the negative in what something is, but what
Right.
if we leaned into that
Listen,
piece?
like, do I miss those days too of, working with the casting director in the room? Sure. I think we all can agree with that. But I
Yeah.
think us as actors, we need to stop yearning for yesterday and start embracing tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
the days, those days before, they're not coming back. They just aren't. They
Hmm.
aren't. We have to accept that. We if we're just living in the past and we can never move forward. And I think that makes a difference between a successful actor and an actor who's going to become bitter and fade out into the sunset.
Yeah.
You just have
Well
to
said.
embrace what's happening here and the now and what's happening for tomorrow and let it go. Just let it go.
Well said. And just maybe in a tying note, because I do also have an addition to do tonight.
Yes.
I feel it's very interesting. I do a lot of listening to actors on actors, the Hollywood Roundtable,
Love that.
and I love hearing the stories of what they experience because a lot of them are 1 or 2 generations ahead of me as
Mhm.
an actor, yourself as an actor, Mark. And I feel what worked for them is great. It would not work in today. There is no formula today,
No.
which is a blessing and a curse. We don't have anything to emulate, so we just need to figure it out, but we also get to create that path.
Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson was recently talking about that too. Like, he's giving us a lot of credit, us actors today that are trying to break out. Because like self-tapes, because I just recently found out what a self-tape is, and of course in Samuel L. Jackson's own words. Um, so you can
Self-tape.
only imagine.
Just
It's
found out
like
what this self-tape is, huh?
it's like
I don't know.
he admitted himself that he would not be able to do it, that he would not be able to do a successful self-tape at all. And like that's Samuel L. Jackson, who's done, I don't know, 300 films by now.
Yeah.
Like it is daunting what we have to do, but we're still doing it. We're still doing
Yeah.
it.
One quick
So,
question.
yes.
The vertical short you were in, did they pick the ending you wanted?
We did.
Nice.
We did. They went with the thank you for that. Thank you for that insightful question. At the end, it was that moment of emotion went into the eye, and it was
Look at that.
character catharsis. And
Nice.
Look at that. Like a pro.
and I didn't
Sarah.
get pushed into a pool in that one either, so
Not in
that's a
that one.
win. No,
Girl, thank you so much for taking time to joining us here today.
my
Our
pleasure.
second guest, our lovely guest. Sarah, you're more than welcome to come back on anytime. Anything I can do for you, please give me a call. And best of luck in the audition.
Good
Thank
luck.
you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And I look forward to hearing this and sharing more. Appreciate it.
She's awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Love
Was she friends with
Sarah.
you? I don't know, but
Hey, you're friends with me.
yeah, I don't broadcast that though.
You just did, like now,
Yeah.
literally just now.
Anyway,
Hey, Putty, great
yeah.
questions, buddy.
Thank you. 2 weeks in a row. 2 for 2. Somebody has good
Me,
questions around here.
yeah, thanks. Me and B Todd were talking before. We need to get like hashtag free putty shirts. You
Okay,
know,
yeah, please.
maybe that'll be the first merch of Beyond the Take here.
Sign me up, Triple X, please. Thank you.
Buddy, anything that you want to leave off with before we end up the episode here?
No, just stay cool. There's a crazy world we live in. Please take care of yourselves and each other.
Crazy world indeed, man. Crazy world
Yeah.
indeed. It's hard to keep up.
Mm-hmm. Nuts.
Like
Scary times.
it's easier for me to keep track of the trades in the industry, which is wild in itself right now, than it is in the world of just the world. But yeah, no, people be safe out there. 4th of July. What's the next episode going to be launching? When are we doing that? If we don't see you guys, have a happy 4th of July. Hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully no more bombs or anything like that. No more protests. No drama.
That'd be
But
nice, ideally.
with this presidency right now,
Oh, politics, come on.
you know, you know, I mean, hey, this is an entertainment podcast.
That's true.
Yeah, I think people know how we sway here. It's not wrestling. It's not wrestling.
Mm. You still get John Voight on the, you never know, one day.
Hey, you know what? I would welcome that conversation. I would welcome that conversation. I'm not opposed to speaking to opposite minds. If things get too far off the rails, so might have to hit the exit button there. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm stalling too much here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, follow. I don't know what the kids say anymore. I'm old, as I just said before. And yes, share the word. Beyond the Take podcast with me, Marc Chouen, Michael J. Puddy. Thank you, everyone, and cheers.